Hello, and welcome to the Be Formless Flow Driven CEO podcast, where we are reshaping life, leadership, and business from the inside out. And today I'm welcoming to the show Jill Shull. Welcome to the show, Jill.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
No, thank you. And I am very lucky to have you here because you are currently in Austin, Texas. Never been there. Really want to go. I've heard great things about it. I know that's,
Such a great city. We got to get you over here.
yeah. Well, the South by Southwest is coming up in the next, I think it's next
First?
month.
Yes.
That's all, yeah. But obviously all the music and everything else. And you're off to a cancer gala tonight. So we are going to have a great conversation and let you head off and kick your heels up, have a dance, maybe have a glass of wine. And yeah, it's a good time to be in Texas by the sounds of things today.
Always a good time to be in Texas. But yes, extra good tonight.
Yes. So let's get into it. We've got a lot to unpack here. And we met a few weeks ago and you and I were like, and then it's like, here we are again today. So I'm sure we're going to have quite the chat.
Yes.
And you are an executive director and RLT Business Excellence at a large biopharma company where you specialize in cancer care. And that is all around reimagining medicine to improve and extend people's lives. You have deep experience spanning US and global go-to-market strategy, commercial excellence, and large-scale change leadership. I really want to dig into this change leadership, to be honest. And Jill, you specialize in translating across cognitive styles and designing the conditions where high-performing teams thrive under pressure. Your work focuses on long horizon transformation, strategic clarity, and leveraging that cognitive diversity. And that's something we spoke about the other week. You know, there is a lot of cognitive diversity, you know, in all the generations we have now. And it can be used as a competitive advantage. But most importantly, you believe sustainable performance doesn't come from pushing harder, and neither do I. It comes from alignment, so that kind of inside-out approach, operating rhythm, and building systems that allow people and strategy to move into flow together. When you booked in for the pod and I asked you what's one unique experience when it comes to life, leadership, and or business, you said, most leadership fails aren't motivation problems, they're brain environmental mismatch problems. A strong leader acts like a translator, same goal, different cognitive operating systems. Some people need clarity, and you've got in brackets tightened definitions of done, stable priorities to move fast. Others need autonomy, North Star plus guardrails to innovate. I'm learning to lead by designing conditions where difference isn't labeled as difficult to get more performance with less burnout. I absolutely love that. Tell us a bit about your journey. I know pre-show we were like, talk about your career and where you started, but maybe we should start with your answer to my question because there's so much in that to unpack.
Yes. So let's talk about the burnout piece. Let's talk about the different ways that we're giving feedback and the different types of styles. So I have not always been the poster child of life balance. Let's just put it that way.
Neither.
No. And frankly, for a large portion of my life, there was no such thing. And I wasn't
Mm,
even trying, if we're being honest,
mm,
right? So I
mm,
started off as a management consultant, high burn, and that's
mm,
how you learn, right? And it was a great time of life to do it. I was a single woman, didn't have kids, I didn't even have a dog at that point. So being able to burn the midnight oil and burn at both ends, totally fine.
yeah.
However, it's taken me until recently to learn the importance of not just go, 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 and
Mm,
to understand that my best thinking, and I presume that of other people as well, is not when we're driving into the ground. The 80-hour weeks is not something to be proud of. Do we have to do it sometimes? Sure. Is it something we should aspire to? Absolutely not. No thinking can happen when all you're doing is trying to make it through the day, trying to get the deliverable done, try to hand in the paper, get the report, follow up on the emails. When you're in that state, you're just tactical and you're just doing things. Maybe they're
yes.
important things, but are you connecting the vision and the strategy and how it all ties together? And when I realized it a little while ago was I only have good ideas at two times, like really good ideas. At 3 o'clock in the morning in the middle of the night, when I wake up and can't get back to sleep, and when I go to the gym.
Mm,
And I started to kind of unpack, like, why is that? Why is this the only 2 times that I get these really good thoughts? It's because I'm not doing anything else, right?
Mm,
Like, my
so
brain is
true.
allowed to wander. It goes and it connects, and it isn't hampered by, "Here's the list. Here's the thing. Answer the call. The text is beeping. The Slack channel is beeping. The Teams is going." It's
Yes.
just think about the things. And so I've just been having conversation with my team this week, in fact, about how do we take our workload down by a third?
I
I
love
I
that.
I don't know if a third's the right number, right? But we have to start somewhere. So how do we just take the stuff off the
Mm,
plate? Because we're getting a little bit away from strategy, and we're getting into really execution things that are going to take us down the rabbit hole, and everybody's going to burn out.
yeah.
And I'm trying to stop us from doing what I've been so guilty of doing for the very best part of my career, which is just drive, 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 get tired, get exhausted, burn out. Doesn't work. It
No, it
definitely
doesn't.
doesn't work at this point in life.
No, it certainly doesn't. What made you realize it just most recently? Like, it took me up to actually physically and mentally burn out a few years ago now. But like,
I
what
think it
was
was
there
a
something
couple
that
of
happened? Yeah.
well, yeah, for sure. So it's a few things. One, a set of extreme exhaustion, right? Just being so tired that I can just never get my thoughts right. But two other things happen. Someone pointed out to me that when I appear to be tired, I'm not myself. And when I appear to be tired, I can get short and tactical and very short-term thinking. I hadn't really thought about it until it was kind of put in my face. And in fact, he said, we were on a call, we were doing work, and he said, "You're tired." And I said, "I'm not." And he said, "You are. I can tell by the way that your brain's going. You're tired. So you should probably like step away for a little bit." And I thought, whoa,
Were you
if
annoyed? Did that trigger you? Like, because I know when I'm feeling like
aha,
that, someone
totally.
says it to me, I get totally triggered. I'm like, no, I'm not. And then I go away and I'm like, I am.
I'm
I'm
so
just
tired.
fighting it.
Yeah. I've I think it's because we've hidden it and we've masked it for so long that it's like, I'm really good at pretending to not be tired, or I'm really good at pretending to not be overworked or overwhelmed, right? Like, no one knows. They totally know. And so my daughter, my 15-year-old daughter, who's neurodivergent, she identifies as different parts of the neurodivergent scale, but she uses the term masking, and she called me on it. And she said, "Mom, you're masking and you're putting on a business lady face." And I thought, this is like bad. So I would hang up the Teams call or hang up the meeting or whatever was happening, walk out of the meeting, right? And you shouldn't feel like that. You shouldn't
No,
feel like you're turning off one person and turning on home
another.
Jill, right? Work Jill, home Jill. That doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work at all. And I think that's the more exhausting point. It's like, that's why I hate even work life balance, because it's like your work and then your life, and then you're switching off one and you're switching off the other. And oh, you're all balanced. It's like, no, you're absolutely not. You're absolutely not. So, in terms of that, how then you get this feedback, that's
Yeah.
exactly what's happening. What do you do with it? Like, do you now like check yourself when you are exhausted? Like, how have you then been able to address the feedback you've been getting? Because feedback can be everything. Like, sometimes you've got to ignore the white noise. But you
Yes.
were getting external feedback, but internally, your internal system was saying to you forever, sounds like it, because it was like me. It was just
Yeah.
like, "I'm exhausted, I'm exhausted, I'm exhausted," and you're like, "No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not." And it comes even back to, like, cognitive load, like, mind and body, soul, like, soul saying one thing, mind saying another. Like, how did you,
Yes.
I guess, address it?
So after being annoyed, and you're right, I was so annoyed at first. So I kind of stewed on it for, a minute. And then I started thinking, if this is how I'm showing up in two aspects of my life. So I've got someone in the office telling me I can tell you're tired. And I've got a 15-year-old daughter at home telling me you're changing when you get off the meeting, basically saying you look tired or you're out of whack or whatever it was. I'm like, this is bad. Everything is not the perfect little, like, facade that I thought I was presenting, it's not there. So I did I did something that I do once a year, but this time I really did it. So once a year, I take this, I call it runaway weekend. I go by myself for just 3 days. I go to an island, different island, sometimes same island, whatever, but just take some time for me. However, every time that I've done this, I've either taken the work phone or I've invited other people say they want to go. And I've said, sure, like friends, whatever. And this runaway weekend always ends up being not what it's supposed to be. I'm not
No.
on anybody else's agenda. I'm being available. My brain's doing whatever. And this time I didn't do it. And it was the first time I came back feeling relaxed in
Mm,
years. In
amazing.
years. And so it was Turks and Caicos this time. I'm in the Turks and Caicos and I'm writing on the little hotel
How
notepad, right?
good.
Because that was awesome. Yeah, it was. I didn't bring like technology. I didn't bring my computer or anything, and I didn't want to get on the phone because I knew it would happen. So I'm
Mm,
writing on the little hotel notepad all these ideas that were coming. And it was like, okay, this is my old self back. My brain is coming back to the way it was. And I realized I have to step away. So
mm,
that caused the introspection of like, what am I doing to my team? What am I doing to other people?
yeah.
And even though I've always told everybody, just because you see me do this or I respond at these hours, like that doesn't apply to you. Don't feel that you need to. Come on. That's stupid.
They
That's
all
like,
do it. Yeah, the minute
that's
you
what
do
I
it, they all do
thought
it.
too, right? Like if
Yeah.
my boss calls me, I'm going to call him back. I am. Of course I am. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I am being I'm being a terrible leader because they're seeing me burn out. They're seeing all of this. And I'm saying, like, don't do that. Ridiculous. So I just asked one of my leaders a question and said, "Are you fried? Are you burnt out?" And she said, "Yeah." I thought, not good. We got to
No.
recalibrate. We got to reevaluate.
Yeah, because you're playing in the pharma health space, right? And like biopharma health space. And what comes to mind for me is, and we'll come back to the cognitive diversity and the different, like I guess different personalities, different, energies as well. But I think about, and we spoke about this the other week pre catch up, but
Yeah.
like you're in a really like extending people's lives. That's
Yeah.
huge, right? So you're playing in this space, and playing is probably the wrong word, but yeah, you're in this space where it's very delicate and there's this need to be purposeful and present and, like what you were telling me the other week. And I know through my own lived experience with, my dad's got terminal cancer. One of my best friends passed away last year. Mum had cancer a couple of years ago. It's everywhere. And so,
Yeah.
when you're going 100 miles an hour, and I'm not suggesting you're working directly with them, but you're in a system that is, and maybe you are, but you're in a system that is so delicate and it requires us to be, present and, clear, especially in the field you're in. It's almost like though there's more pressure because it's such an important, what's the word I'm looking for? It's such an important role you're playing. Do you ever find that adds the pressure to have to deliver and always want to deliver? And I don't think I've ever asked anyone this before in terms of that, because what you're doing, you're reimagining medicine. It's like, it's so innovative. It's so transformative.
Yeah.
There's this
It is.
extra pressure to make a difference. Yeah.
There is, and I don't work with patients directly, and I
No.
don't work with the science directly. So we've got super smart people in R&D and very talented,
Yes.
super smart people
Yes.
that are working with patients. But what's really important is if where I live in the business, if we don't deliver, all these other things don't work as well, right? So
Yeah.
yes, the pressure's there, but you know what? When isn't the pressure there, right?
Mm.
In any phase that we're in
Yes.
any role that we're in, if I look back, I think that this is probably, I feel like, one of the more high pressure roles that I've been in. But at the time, any role that I've been in, I would have told you was the most high pressure.
Yeah.
What's really cool about this is not every role do you have the ability to say we're doing something that directly impacts human life
Mm.
in a
Mm.
positive way. So, yes, and I am coming back to we fly a lot, right? So, they tell you in the airplane, you got to put your own mask on before you put somebody else's on, and never really understood that, especially as a mom. Like, obviously, I'm going to put the mask on my kid first. And I think I finally started to understand that if I pass out from not having oxygen, I can't get the mask on the kid, right?
No.
So, yes, the pressure is there, but the pressure is always there.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we have to do the best that we can do and not be afraid of the pressure. I think that's where people get afraid of failure.
Mm.
What if something goes wrong? What if it's not perfect? And we've all been there, right?
Oh my God, yes.
We
Yes.
have all. Yes. And so what if it doesn't? What if it doesn't? Then we'll learn from it and we'll do better next time.
Yeah.
Also, I have the gift of, as I said, I'm adjacent, right, to the whole situation. I'm not actively the person treating the patient. So it's healthcare workers, especially those that are working in cancer care. I mean, hats off, right? The
And
amount that they give of themselves to take care of others is unbelievable and inspirational.
mm,
We're a step or two removed from that. And it is helpful to sort of, remember that at the end of the day, everything that we're doing is in support of those that care for others. And
yeah.
we've got to we've got to keep our head on straight so we can deliver the best that we can for our customers who in turn care for patients.
Yeah, it's so interesting you talk about this because the pressure is always there. And I even said to a client the other day, we're not trying to save lives because like let's have a reality check, right? And like I don't know if that's a saying that's just in Australia, but we use it a bit here. We're not trying to save lives because we're not, like in terms of what we're doing and like let's not take this so seriously. Like we need to kind of lighten things up a bit in terms of, yeah, the pressure is always there. So how do you release the pressure valve to be able to be more fluid, be more human, be more, empathetic as a leader, when you're tired, rather than putting the mask on and pretending you're not, when on the inside it's screaming exhaustion. Like I had this the other week, actually. I was exhausted. Like it was just this wave. And I was just like, I'm just going to surrender to this because I cannot, like, but once upon a time, and I don't know how I used to do it because I would just keep going. And then I'd thrash
Me
myself at
too.
the gym and just be like putting myself into these ridiculous classes, thinking that was good and healthy for me. But it wasn't. It was just adding to, the cortisol and, like my nervous system was off the charts. And so now I'm
Yes.
just openly just when I'm just cooked or exhausted, I'm just like I'm at my capacity. Like I have, like, and I don't think that's anything to be ashamed by. But as women, I think because we've always been we can do it all, I'm not a mum, I've got a dog, but like I'm a dog mum, but I
Well,
haven't
your
got
dog
kids.
mom. That's a ma. Yeah,
A
that's a
dog
ma.
mum, but like juggling the career, the family life, all of that, it's just like, it's almost like just put it on, like, it's like, under the table and you just got to pretend as if everything's like sorted and perfect, but it's
Yeah.
just not. And then,
It's
you hit an age where you're going through like changes in your like who you
oh
are
yeah.
and your hormones and
Oh
like it
yeah.
just adds another layer and another level to like and you can't, like it's just physically impossible. So I just feel like we need to be able to talk about that more. And I was reflecting on something yesterday and I'd love your thoughts on this, but it was also like you need to look after your team, but there's this element of the team having the ability or understanding how to also look after their leader. Because I can go into businesses quite often and it's just like, again, this business I'm working with at the moment, I'm just like, the team need to step up. They need to be more accountable because you're doing
Yeah.
everything. You're reporting into
Yeah.
them. Like, let's switch this up. Like, what's your view on that?
Oh, it's interesting that you say that. We have had a lot of these types of conversations. So not just for the team that reports up to me, but just more broadly, it's a hard topic for a couple of reasons. You don't want to put more pressure on the teams that report up to
No.
you. And at the same time, our job as a leader is to level everybody else up, right? Empower everybody else to do their
Mm,
best work, empower everybody else to reach a little bit further. So, how do you have those really delicate conversations saying, and this and that, right? Telling somebody that you need them to take on a little bit more, or in, I would say, the place that we're at, maybe in our organization and others that are like ours, isn't even do more. It's do things differently.
Mm,
Everything is changing about the way we operate, and more isn't necessarily better. I think I used to be of the opinion years ago, earlier in career, that more, 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 more. Now it's just smarter, smarter, smarter. So we have tools, AI, what a gift, right? We can offload a lot of the things that take up time and frankly, we don't need to do any longer.
yeah.
We can outsource that to the computer. So where that leaves us, though, is not that we don't need the team or we don't need the team to do more things. We need them to do smarter things
Yeah.
and more strategic things and more thinking things that the machine can't do. So a lot of the conversation has been around how do we change the way that we view what we're doing
Mm,
at work and our future capabilities, and how do we build on those skills so that the stuff that we don't want to do, we automate that. We take that
yeah.
off of our plate and open up the mind on like, okay, so back to the whole, where does your mind go when it has nothing else to do? It goes to a great place, right? It
Yes.
goes to all these good ideas and you think about all these things and you connect the dots, and you can't do that when you're trying to fight with the
No,
exhaustion,
I
right?
love that.
Yeah. So that's what we're really focusing on right now is, and in my teams in particular, let's get away from the stuff that we don't need to do, figure out how to automate it so it still gets done so we can think about what's really important and where we need our brain power to be.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Couple of questions for me coming out of there in terms of you talked around this different cognitive operating systems when answered my question, and then this AI piece. I want to understand a little bit more about the different cognitive operating systems, and where I'm
Yeah.
going with this AI piece is that I'm noticing that some of the younger generations are almost not rejecting, but when it comes to change management, they're not necessarily just adopting AI as I thought they would. And yet, some of us older generations are adopting it way faster, more curious, like going, holy, this is just like going to change my world because it's going to free me up to get back to what I should be doing, which is, strategy, visionary, ideating, like you talk about. I call that non-time, where just things start to kind of, I feel like it's just, you get more tapped in, you're more tapped
Yeah.
in, you become more intuitive. You can, things just become effortless. It's like when you're in flow, right?
Right.
So I guess my two questions are, tell us a little bit about, what you mean by the different cognitive operating systems. And then are you noticing any patterns from that when it comes to automating more, leveraging more AI in the business? Yeah, because I'm really
Yeah.
intrigued by this at the moment.
Yeah. So different cognitive systems. We've got the folks that are write the list for me, tell me how to do it. I'll figure out, what I need to do, but I need these things, and I want to be led in a way that is making sure that I'm getting things on the list. Then you have another set of folks who, and probably you and I fit into this bucket, where it's like, actually just get out of my way and let
Yes.
me do my thing.
Yes,
And
so true. Yeah, you're
and
working it out pretty quickly.
yeah. And so both of those, and there's many, many more, right? But both of those types of folks need to be led, but we need to lead them in very different ways. So if I think about how I need to be led, I am always the get out of my way person. Like, I'll figure it out. I want a big sky, blue sky, dream it all up. Okay. But I need somebody there at the end of the day to pull me back to earth a little bit and say, all of that's great. Now, how are you going to make it happen? Right. Somebody's got to bring me back down to touching the grass. And then there's other types of folks that are like really in the grass, right? And how do we level up your thinking? So teams where you bring all of those folks together and figure out how to get the best part of each of them. And, it's a little bit like the Muppets, the Swedish Chef, right? A little bit of this, a little bit of that, put it all together, and,
I
and,
love
and
that.
off we go. And that has been the most fun part of a leadership role, is finding these different phenotypes of people and the different ways that their brains think. And I've learned so much about it from having my own
Yeah, I was
child
about to
who's
say, I was gonna bring in the neurodivergent piece because,
yes.
yeah, like it's so fascinating because so talented as well. Like, yes.
Yes. So honestly, she's become my little advisory board, right? So at 15, because she sees the world so differently, I will often tell her, like, here's something that I'm thinking about, or here's a situation that I'm trying to work through where she really helps me. I mean, she's my little business partner. Where she really helps me is I need to get a message to somebody in this way. They're not hearing it the way that I'm saying it, or they're not taking it in the way that I'm saying it. So help me understand. And she'll walk me through, you're seeing it from your side and you're not seeing it from the way they're thinking. And you think in this way, but other people think in this way. So you need to ask more questions. And, frankly, I've been working with a coach, an executive coach, as we all should, right?
Yeah, I
At
agree.
this, yeah, for sure. And asking questions is kind of what he really focuses on. And did you hear what I think I said? So the combination of the two of them, who are actually they're actually kind of oddly similar in different ways, but the combination of the two of them is sort of playing in my head now in stereo around did people hear what I think I said? And if not, how am I going to clarify that? And how am I going to communicate differently to different types of people?
Yeah.
Because not everybody sees the world in my way, right? And
Yeah.
it makes perfect sense in my head. Of course it does. But if you don't think like I think, it probably sounds like jumbled chaos to you. So having to
So
right, that's what
true.
it does. It probably sounds like chaos and madness.
But
So
but in my mind, like that, I so relate to that and resonate with that because in my mind, I'm like, how is that jumbled chaos? Like that is just, I am so clear right now, but like,
yes,
and I had someone
but
say
to
to
other
me,
people that think in a different way, it sounds like
yeah, well, someone said that to me the other day. Like, they're like, I don't want to sound rude, but like, what do they say? They said something about like they don't like feeling like scattered information, and then I'm like, and then I thought about it later, and I'm like, no, that makes sense because as
yeah,
a founder, as in startup scaling up world, I'm juggling multiple hats. So one minute I'm like, and then I'm like. And it's like my see here with all the fingers, and I went, oh yes, that's a good reminder for me that focus is really important for this specific person because
that's it.
they need like one task at a time where I'm going, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, like jumping around. I don't say it like that, but you know what I mean? Because my brain's jumping around so much
Exactly,
and
but
I'm
then if
keeping
you
it
think
crystal
about
clear.
when you've had leaders in the past that gave you one thing at a time, you're like, "Come on." Right? Like, so it translates both ways.
That's exactly right. Because I'm like thinking, like, what? Just one thing? Like, what are you talking like for me?
And
Like
then
back
what? So what will I do after? Yeah,
yeah, you're
I
right,
know.
actually. It's so true. Like it's like a maze, isn't it, really? Like the cognitive operating system. It's like it's
I
fascinating.
I wish, I mean, I joke around when I say this, but I'm partially serious. Like, I wish we could bring a clinical psychologist with us everywhere to just watch things, and they'd probably just sit back with a page of notes, be like, "Brrr, yep, 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 yep." I mean, it's true. So going back to you said something about the younger generation with AI,
Yes.
and so I'm wondering because I have these conversations at home, right? Of we grew up without the internet. Right? There was no
No
such
mobile
thing.
phones. I didn't have a
Oh,
phone
there
till I
were no
was like
phone. I mean,
18.
no, like the way you had to call somebody on the phone, this thing was not attached to your hip everywhere you went. So for us, having all of this is like amazing, right? I wonder if it's the other way for them. I wonder if it's more novel for them. And I've got nothing to base this in, nothing to root this in. But in the same way that this is wonderful and amazing for us, I wonder if for them, doing things the old school way
Oh my
is,
gosh, Jill, what a profound insight.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's true, but
No, but
we always want it differently than the way we know it, right?
yeah, because you're right. Because it's like you've just hit a like a point. Because I mean, obviously, I've been doing a lot of interviews, podcast interviews, and like I said, even like someone who's been working with me, it's like I don't get it. Like, why aren't you just like immersed in AI?
But
But
their
it's
whole
also
life has been AI.
But
They've
yes,
lived in
but
it
the
their
whole
whole
life's been the
life.
internet. Like you say, it's been the internet, and maybe they're looking and someone was saying to me in a stat the other day that, it could have even been yesterday, someone I interviewed, they were talking about the younger generations are wanting to unplug from tech and AI and get back to what we grew up doing.
They're going back to flip phones, which
Yeah,
I can't even, like, I couldn't possibly imagine going back to a flip phone, right?
neither
Like,
could I.
this little demon, rectangular demon is my whole life is on there. But my 15-year-old doesn't have, any of these apps. She uses the phone like a phone.
Yeah, it's
It's
fascinating.
right, which is the one thing you and I probably don't use the phone as.
No. It'll be really interesting to watch this in terms of over like the next couple few years because there's obviously lots of conversations around automation, giving us time back to go back to what we need to be doing, especially as leaders, and coming circling right back to burnout and it's systemic and when you think about cognitive overload, etc., like we can't continue the way we are.
Right.
It's just it isn't sustainable. We're all exhausted. We've got an exhausted society, but the tech is not going anywhere, so it's almost like let it keep going at the pace it's going
Yeah.
at. It's now our time to, like you mentioned, is just having that ability. And I know that with me is just being able to step away from it, get off the train,
Yeah.
and have a little break, which, getting back to the pausing and the presence to then be able to get back on the train when you're ready, clearer, calmer, and you're just a better person for it, I think.
So I'm starting to do something so simple. And this is not like I didn't think of this, right? It's so simple and it is changing my days. And it is just ending meetings 5 minutes before the next one starts. In that 5 minutes, go get a drink of water, walk up, stretch, whatever. It doesn't matter. Take a minute. But you realize in 5 minutes, you can totally reset. You can get your
Yeah.
brain right. You can go into your next conversation prepared for that conversation, not rushing and thinking about what did I just leave. It's such a small thing that is having such a big impact. And I'm kicking myself like, why haven't I been doing this for the past 20 years? I
Yeah.
don't know. It's a relatively new thing, but it's just to the point that we are not meant to be 100% completely on 24 hours a day. We've got to work hard. Absolutely not suggesting we should slack. I certainly don't. And I know you don't either, but we need to take those moments of pause and think about what's my intent of this
Yes.
next thought, right? Because if I don't have an intent, and super scary if you're a leader of people. You're a leader of people without an intent. That's terrifying, right?
I agree. I totally agree.
Probably why lots of mishaps happen, right?
Yeah,
So
it's funny you say this because I have just started a new thing where on a Wednesday, because I do a lot of video
yeah,
calls internationally, locally on a Wednesday, I've literally in my Calendly link, I've literally blocked out Wednesdays
love
and
that.
I have client stuff like here, client meetings here, but they're face to face, they're in person. And I've really noticed a difference in terms of it's a midweek reset.
Yeah,
And I'm like, "Oh, this feels good because I'm not doing nighttime things or like, but
yeah.
it's just that midweek reset to get me like start of the week to get me to the end of the week." And I'm noticing that. So it's kind of like testing out different things to see what works for you. But I absolutely love, and I'm a big believer in
But you
the
said
fight.
something really important there, which is you're seeing actual humans in real life on
Yeah.
Wednesdays.
Yeah.
I mean, like this is all great, right? We love the technology. We love being able to do you and I would not be able to sit together today if
No,
if not for this technology. And we can't let it replace human interaction.
no, we can't. No, we can't. I've got two final questions for you because
Okay.
I'm going to let you get to your gala. What do you see as the key traits, requirements of a leader
Mm,
going forward in this new
mm.
world we're in? Because we are in this new world.
Yeah.
What do you
Oh, yeah.
see as the yeah,
Yeah. So change agility. I don't think any of us are are fully equipped for what will come next, nor should we be, right? So, one of the scariest things for me is a leader who thinks that they're at their peak, right? I am the best version that I'm ever going to be. It's like that's terrifying. We should never as leaders think that we've gotten there, right? We should always be looking for the next thing in terms of our learning and our adaptability. And if you look at the people in the workforce, um, or the non-people in the workforce as AI and other types of technology evolves, and the things that we're going to value and be important because of all of that evolution, we've got to be really, really change agile. And we've got to learn to move quickly with different ways of working, move quickly with different personality types. We talked about neurodivergent, but
Yeah,
truth be told, right? Like, I don't know the percentage, but it's a very, very large percentage of the adult community thinks what would be called neurodivergently, and how we are able to adapt to different emotions. So the days of command and control are long gone, thankfully, right?
yeah,
We see the rise of the empathetic, and we still have to deliver hard feedback and deliver results. So we can't just be sunshine and roses and hugs all the time, right? We've got to learn how there's a moment that we deliver that way. There's a moment that we deliver the hard truth, but all of it's got to have purpose behind it. All of it has to have understanding and, most importantly, clarity and communication. So people are understanding and hearing what our intent is.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Change agility. If I could give us all a magic wand, I'd make us all A+ rock stars at change agility.
Oh, that's so good. And I've interviewed a number of people now, and I do believe leadership, and you've summed it up really well, is, it's people, it's presence, it's purpose, and it's performance. You still need it.
You need it. Yeah. You can't miss any one of those things,
No,
actually.
no. And I avoid the word peak performance, because I think that exactly like you're saying, that we're continuously evolving, we're continuously shaping and reshaping. So we might get to our peak at one point, but then we fall off the peak and then we've got to
Yeah,
peak again.
exactly.
So it's just this constant oscillation. Jill, it's been such a great chat. Oh, gosh, you're so insightful. You and
This
I
is
could,
so fun. I
no,
know. We need to chat
absolutely.
more.
Yeah, we do need to chat more. How do we find out more about you, Jill? Where do we go?
Oh my gosh, probably is the best way. So Jill Shull Gilroy, find me there. And if you are in the state of Texas, I do live in Houston. Would love to hear from my Texas folks as well. But yeah, find me on LinkedIn.
Amazing. Jill, thank you so much. I'm gonna let you get to your cancer gala.
Thank you.
Enjoy it. I'm sure it's such a great cause, and yeah, I love what you're
It
doing.
is.
And
Enjoy your day, your summer
thank
day
you.
there, and we'll chat soon. Looking forward to
Yeah,
it.
thanks, Jill. Take
Okay.
care. Thank you.